Have you ever wondered why Coca-Cola is called Coca-Cola? Not Cola-Cola, not sugar cola, Coca-Cola, named after the coca plant. The same plant cocaine comes from. And here's what they don't tell you in the commercials. Coca-Cola still uses coca leaves today. Right now, this moment. The Stepan Company in Maywood, New Jersey, imports roughly 100 metric tons of coca leaves every single year under the only federal license in America that permits cocaine importation. They extract the cocaine, sell it to pharmaceutical companies, and the leftover decocainized coca extract, called merchandise number 5 in internal documents, goes exclusively to Coca-Cola as their secret flavoring ingredient. This isn't history. This is happening now. A $280 billion company, selling products in over 200 countries, maintains an exclusive supply chain for a plant that's globally prohibited under international drug treaties. The original formula didn't use decocainized extract. From 1886 to 1903, Coca-Cola contained actual cocaine, 9 milligrams per glass. It was marketed as a brain tonic that cured morphine addiction, indigestion, nerve disorders, headaches, and impotence. The inventor, John Pemberton, was a morphine addict trying to cure his own addiction with cocaine wine. So what changed? How did cocaine go from being Coca-Cola's main selling point to something they had to remove but still legally use? Public pressure forced the cocaine out in 1903, but Coca-Cola never stopped using coca leaves. They just developed a process to extract the cocaine first, then use what's left. But here's the real question. Why does one American corporation get an exemption from global drug prohibition? Why can Coca-Cola use a plant that's illegal everywhere else? Because when you build a big enough empire, you don't follow the rules. You become the exception to them. John Stith Pemberton was born in 1831 in Georgia. He became a Confederate colonel during the Civil War and was wounded by a saber at the Battle of Columbus in April 1865. To manage the pain, Pemberton became addicted to morphine, like thousands of Civil War veterans. As a trained pharmacist, he tried to cure his own addiction through chemistry. In 1885, he created Pemberton's French wine coca, which was cocaine mixed with alcohol, a direct copy of Vin Mariani, the cocaine wine endorsed by Pope Leo XIII. Pemberton's version added cola nut extract for additional caffeine, creating a double stimulant effect. The wine coca sold well until 1886 when Atlanta and Fulton County passed temperance legislation banning alcohol. Pemberton removed the wine and replaced it with carbonated water, reportedly by accident. He called it Coca-Cola, combining the two main active ingredients, coca leaves and cola nuts. The cocaine stayed, the caffeine stayed. Only the alcohol was removed. Coca-Cola debuted on May 8, 1886 at Jacob's Pharmacy in Atlanta, selling for 5 cents per glass. The original formula contained approximately 5 ounces of coca leaf extract per gallon of syrup, which worked out to roughly 9 milligrams of cocaine per glass. For context, a typical recreational line of cocaine is 50 to 75 milligrams, so 1 glass of Coke delivered about 1/8 of a recreational dose. Not enough to get you high, but enough to create a subtle stimulant effect, enough to make you want another glass. Pemberton marketed Coca-Cola aggressively as a patent medicine, claiming it cured brain exhaustion, nerve trouble, headaches, morphine addiction, and impotence. The intellectual beverage and temperance drink, the ads said, emphasizing no alcohol while conveniently not mentioning the cocaine. Pemberton died in 1888, just 2 years after Coca-Cola's creation, selling his remaining stake for $2,300. That stake is worth billions today. Asa Candler recognized what Pemberton missed. Between 1888 and 1891, Candler systematically bought out investors and consolidated complete ownership for a total of $2,300. In 1892, he incorporated the Coca-Cola Company. Candler understood Coca-Cola wasn't medicine, it was a beverage, a refreshing drink that happened to contain stimulants that made people want more. He shifted marketing toward pleasure and refreshment but kept the cocaine. Candler's strategy was aggressive nationwide expansion through massive advertising, free samples, and promotional items. By 1895, Coca-Cola was sold in every U.S. state. By 1900, it was a national brand. The cocaine was the hook. People tried it, felt the stimulant effect, associated that feeling with the product, and came back for more. The repeat purchase rate was extraordinarily high because the product contained an addictive substance. This was the business model. By the early 1900s, public attitudes toward cocaine were changing. Cocaine use had spread beyond elite control, and reports of addiction and overdoses were increasing. Racial panic played a role with sensationalized newspaper stories about black cocaine users. Public pressure mounted to regulate cocaine. In 1903, Coca-Cola removed cocaine from the formula. But they didn't stop using coca leaves. They developed a process to extract the cocaine from the leaves first, then use the decocainized residue as flavoring. By 1929, Coca-Cola had perfected a completely cocaine-free coca leaf extract. The cocaine was removed, but the coca leaves remained essential because Coca-Cola's taste depends on them. This is merchandise number 5, still used today. Here's where it gets legally interesting. Coca leaves are classified under the 1961 UN Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs as equivalent to cocaine and prohibited internationally, except for scientific and medical purposes. The United States was the primary force behind this global prohibition. But simultaneously, the US created a specific exemption for Coca-Cola. Only one company in America is licensed by the DEA to import coca leaves, the Stepan Company in Maywood, New Jersey, founded in 1932. Stepan imports approximately 100 metric tons of coca leaves annually from Peru via the state-owned company Anaco and from Bolivia. They extract cocaine alkaloids using chemical solvents, then conduct rigorous testing. Process yields 2 products: pure cocaine, sold to Mallinckrodt in St. Louis, the only U.S. company licensed to purify cocaine for medical use as a local anesthetic, and decocainized coca extract, sold exclusively to Coca-Cola. Think about the monopoly structure. No other U.S. company can legally import coca leaves. No other beverage company can use coca extract. The entire legal coca import infrastructure in America exists to supply one beverage corporation. Stepan makes money extracting cocaine for medical use and selling coca extract to Coke. Mallinckrodt makes money purifying cocaine for hospitals. Coca-Cola makes money selling beverages flavored with coca extract. Peruvian and Bolivian farmers get minimal compensation. The value is extracted at every level and concentrated in American corporations. This is textbook empire extraction. Now the global hypocrisy. Coca leaf has been sacred to Andean cultures for 8,000 years. In Peru, Bolivia, Argentina, Colombia, Ecuador, and Chile, traditional coca use is legal and culturally significant. People chew coca leaves for energy, altitude sickness relief, and nutrition. The World Health Organization conducted studies showing traditional coca use causes no health problems, no addiction, and provides significant nutritional benefits. Coca leaf is not cocaine. Cocaine is a refined extract requiring chemical processing. Chewing coca leaves delivers a mild stimulant effect roughly equivalent to strong coffee. But in 1961, the UN Single Convention classified coca leaf as equivalent to cocaine and made it illegal internationally. The United States pushed for this classification, criminalizing a plant used safely for millennia by indigenous Andean peoples. Except for Coca-Cola. The same country that criminalized coca globally created a legal exemption for an American corporation to import 100 tons annually. Let's follow the extraction chain. Peruvian and Bolivian farmers grow coca under government contract, receiving minimal payment. Stepan imports the leaves, extracts the valuable cocaine, sells it to pharmaceutical companies at medical prices, and sells the decocainized extract to Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola uses the extract to produce beverages, generating $43 billion in annual revenue, with a market capitalization of $280 billion, operating in over 200 countries. Stepan has over $2 billion in annual revenue, publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Meanwhile, indigenous farmers in the Andes who have used coca sustainably for 8,000 years are criminalized internationally for possessing the same plant American corporations legally profit from. The empire pattern is the same as every commodity extraction system. Britain forced China to buy opium while criminalizing it domestically. Spain extracted silver from Potosi while enslaving indigenous miners. America prohibits coca globally while granting exemptions to American corporations. The substance is the same. The difference is who controls it and who profits. When indigenous people use coca, it's a drug problem requiring prohibition. When Coca-Cola uses coca, it's legitimate business requiring legal protection. The criminalization of coca wasn't about health, it was about control. About ensuring a valuable plant's commercial use was monopolized by corporations that could be taxed and regulated by the US government, while traditional use that generated no profit was prohibited. And here's the final twist. Coca-Cola replaced cocaine with sugar and caffeine, which are also addictive, just legal. The original formula hooked people with cocaine. The modern formula hooks people with 39 grams of sugar per can, more than the daily recommended maximum, plus caffeine. Coca-Cola didn't stop building their business on addiction. They just switched to socially acceptable addictive substances. The mechanism stayed the same. Create a product that makes people want more, market it aggressively, distribute it globally, generate billions from repeat consumption driven by chemical dependency. This is the empire economy, where we decode how corporations monopolize resources, criminalize competition, and extract wealth at global scale. Coca-Cola built an empire on cocaine, then maintained that empire by securing exclusive access to the prohibited plant after removing the prohibited substance. They convinced the world that happiness comes in a bottle while building a supply chain that extracts value from Andean farmers and concentrates it in American shareholders. The pattern is always the same. Control the source, monopolize the processing, dominate the market, maximize extraction. If you want to keep seeing how empire capitalism actually works behind the marketing, subscribe.